Hey everyone, Wyduck welcoming you to Game 3 of a Best of 9 series from the Acer Team Story 2013 Cup. And this time on Star Station, we've got spawning in the top left and currently undefeated, representing Team Acer, we have Innovation. And it may be a very difficult task for his opponent spawning in the bottom right as the red Protoss representing Team Axiom still looking for their first point in this best of 9. We've got Crank. And in this series, this is basically a tournament where you play until you lose. So Innovation defeated Impact in the first game. He defeated Ryung in the second game. And so he's still here to play in the third. So the momentum is really, really in Team Acer's and Innovation's favor. Crank will try to put a halt to that. TVP is not a bad matchup for Innovation. So we'll have to see who can come out on top. Now, like I said before, because Innovation does have the win streak already, beating two very good South Korean players, if I was Innovation, I'd probably have a lot of confidence right now. And pro players, I mean, just like amateur players, you know, players who play the game for fun. Yes, there are those players who play the game for fun, not professionally. You know, when you're feeling the groove, when you've got confidence and everything seems to be going your way, sometimes it can be a bad thing. But in many cases, it's really a good thing. It's relaxing. You've already defeated two of your opponents, so you've already done more than the average, which is win one and lose one. And you've given your team a really good chance to win. So even if you lose this game, you can play a little bit looser. Your team will still be up 2-1. So Innovation, I think he can experiment here and do a lot of things he might not be that comfortable doing if it was game 1, for example, or the last game of the series. So he's going to be opening up with a Reaper. And here on Star Station, Reapers are very potent because there is only one elevation to get to the main base. And because of this jutting out piece here, the Reaper can easily jump here, and it's very difficult for opponents to place enough buildings or units to protect the entire ridge line from Reapers. So Reapers are a very good unit on this map, and it looks like Innovation is going to be utilizing the Reapers exactly for that. Now, there is a command center plop down at the natural. There is a Nexus as well for Crank. So that Reaper is going to be moving across the map very quickly. Now, another thing to note here, and maybe we'll pay attention to the Reaper first, see what kind of damage the Reaper can do. Now, there is a Mothership core here, so this Reaper is not going to be able to harass very much, and in fact, it's going to start running away immediately. Now, this pylon is in the middle of this ridge line, so this area is still not covered by the pylon, so this Reaper can still be very effective. But here on Star Station, you have to remember, these are very large areas, and especially to protect, it looks like the Reaper is doing a little bit more harassing here, but as a Protoss player, it's very difficult to defend this area because it's so large. As a Terran player, it's not as bad because you do have siege tanks, and you can just wall off with supply depots and barracks and things like that. But as a Protoss player, to put a lot of gateways or pylons here, generally you don't have that many resources, so it's very difficult to, and they don't have siege tanks. So this map, I think, does favor the Terran player if it does go to a medium to long-range game, simply because this third base is very difficult to defend. Now, if players opt to go for this as your third base, it's even worse because Zelnaga Tower is on the high tower, on the high ground, so it's very difficult to defend, especially with both ramps and an even larger area to defend. So it'll be interesting to see how long this game is going to be, but it looks like Crank is going for Blink. Innovation is getting Stimpack, and Blink, for the same reason this map is very good for Reapers, Blink can be very good for Stalkers, because you can just blink right up here, and Innovation probably won't be expecting it. And if all the bunkers are over here, and all of a sudden you get like 8 Stalkers in your main base, it'll be very tough for Innovation to deal with that. So it looks like both players are thinking about this ridge line, which I think is the proper thing to do. I mean, when you're playing on a map, you got to exploit everything you can to your advantage. It looks like Crank will be very aggressive here. He's going to push into the natural, but unfortunately that bunker is going to get filled up with Marines very quickly. The Mothership Core is going to probably put down some very good time warps slow down those Marines, because, you know, Marines are very weak against Stalkers. So once they're slowed up, they're kind of forced to fight, even though they don't want to. At the same time, we do have +1 weapon upgrades being researched by Innovation, but Blink is half done, and we do see more and more Stalkers being warped in by Crank. So currently we have 3 Stalkers, 1 Sentry against 15 Marines. And with that bunker, I think Innovation would easily hold off an attack at this point. But Innovation is going to go for the second bunker. Now, this is a little bit interesting because you build sentries around the for the bunkers, because you put force fields around the bunker so they can't get repaired. By Innovation opting to put the bunker so close to this bunker, 1 force field can actually prevent lots of SCVs from repairing either bunker. So we'll have to see if the placement of that bunker is going to affect the outcome of this game. Army size is very close, and it looks like Innovation's spider sense is tinkling as he's putting a bunker near that ridge line. So there is a blink coming. He's just seen too many Stalkers. He doesn't like what he sees, and with that bunker there, now the Stalkers will have a very difficult time to just jump up in there. The factory is going to do some floating and some scouting. At the same time, it will be under attack. So Crank is really, really laying the pressure on Innovation. But as time goes on, Crank is going to have more problems, because Innovation is just going to add more and more Marauders to his army, and Marauders are very good against Stalkers. So I really feel like Crank needs to make something happen now. I think he does too. He has a 10 supply advantage. He's going to be moving forward. There we go. He blinks forward immediately and is able to put the force field down at the ramp. Now the Marines and Marauders are caught. They're not going to be able to defend against this. Crank, very aggressive and very intuitive, putting that force field there. And now Innovation's natural is under attack. He's going to have to lift off this orbital command. But even with this many Stalkers, I don't even think he'd be able to save it. The Time Warp is going to go down at that ramp once again. If there's any more sentries here, a force field would really cut that army in half. But there are no more force fields. But the Marines are going to be able to stim now. And with stim, that's going to give Innovation quite a big DPS boost. And now it's going to be do or die time for both players. Who's going to be able to survive? The Marines are rushing in for it, but there's just too many Stalkers. Innovation is going to have to back off here. The Stalkers, at least some of them are blinking for. The Marines are fighting valiantly, able to take down a few more Stalkers, but a lot of the Marines are falling down, and now the bunkers are half completed, but half does not mean 100%, so those bunkers are not going to be able to finish in time, and with a 40 supply advantage, I think Crank has finally put an end to Innovation's reign. Innovation's orbital is now being floated away. Just too many Stalkers, and even with that stim upgrade, it just wasn't enough. Just too many Stalkers firing down on those Marines and Marauders. A few more Stalkers are gonna fall down here, but the SCVs have been pulled off to provide a buffer, but the Stalkers are firing directly on the Marines and the Marauders, and Innovation is gonna tap out. So Crank is able to finally put an end to Innovation and his win streak. So Team Acer is now up 2-1. Crank will go to Game 4. And Acer's going to have to put up another player. Now, remember, both teams are very deep. Acer has players like Scarlet available at the Heed. So, you know, the series is still up for grabs. It's 2-1. Let's head over to Game 4 and see what happens.